All right, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this photo A shot of Megan and we're going to have her flying over a town. You know, kind of like Wendy from Peter Pan was what I was thinking of when I shot this picture. Now, I've heard some people say, you know, hey, AI is replacing photography and everything else, but I still had to get the model and the lighting and the posing and the costume and everything else and take the photograph. And you're going to see that AI is a tool that's going to help us, but we're also going to be using other tools inside of Photoshop to accomplish the result. All right, so the first thing we need to do is we need to get rid of the arm here. This is her husband holding her so she doesn't fall over. And, you know, we don't want her to hurt herself. So let's go ahead and we're going to see if we can get rid of his arm. Just going to select all of that, just roughly. And what we're going to do now is we're going to hit Generative Fill. And I just want to remove it, and hopefully we can save some of her arm and it will rebuild part of her dress. Let's hit Generate. And we'll see what kind of a result we get here. All right, excellent. So we've got rid of the arm. Let's look at the other two options, because it always creates 3 variations. I like that one better already because look at that. We've got the dress there. And let's look at the third option. It's pretty good too. It's actually quite hard to decide which one to use. I'm going to use this one because it kind of seems like, you know, it's bellowing up a little bit in the wind. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is something I don't do a lot, but I'm actually going to Control E, and I'm going to merge these together because I just want a nice clean plate without that arm there. All right, excellent. So the next thing, let me zoom out. I think we're going to expand this image a little bit, so let's grab the crop tool here. And then we're going to drag it down and out a little bit. Give us a little bit more space. So she's kind of flying out in the front. All right. Excellent. So the next thing we need to do is select our model. So I'm just going to zoom in here until we can see her nicely. And let's start with another AI tool that you've been using for a while. And that is the object or the quick selection tool when it's tied in with select subject. So if we choose cloud as an option, it's going to give us better results. And now we're going to choose select subject. All right, this is a good start. Now, I'm not worried about this flyaway here because I was hoping to get it with a fan to really blow it up, but it just didn't quite, get what we were looking for. So that's fine. All right, what we want to do now is just kind of clean up this selection. I want to add to the selection, so I'm just going to click down here. Maybe we can grab some of her dress in there. And this will help kind of guide things a little bit. And whoops, don't want that far. All right, so that will kind of help. And let's hit the Alt or the Option key and let's get rid of that chair. And let's just put some of that hair back in. Now, another option I could do is just try and rebuild the dress here, but I think we're going to be okay. So let's go to Select and Mask. And under the Select and Mask, we're just kind of making sure we're going to grab our hairbrush. And I'm just going to paint on the edge of this hair just to kind of get us, just kind of aid in getting a better kind of an edge. Not that that matters too much because we're going to change this anyway. I'm just trying to get, just a little bit of selection to start with. It's looking pretty good. And, there's other areas we could touch up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to give it a little bit of radius. And I'll just kind of sharpen these edges a little bit. Decontaminate colors will get rid of any kind of edge fringing. And, this is going to be good enough for us to work off. You could spend more time, getting the selection perfect, but I think you get the general idea of what we want to do. And we're going to output to a new layer with a layer mask. All right, so this is our model here. It's looking good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a selection by choosing the mask. So I'm clicking on the mask there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to inverse the selection. So you'll see this tool up here that enables me to inverse that selection. And now what I want to do is I want to create a layer. And let me just show the whole thing. Control or Command 0. So it's a pretty large area, maybe a little larger than I need. But we want to go in and we're going to generate our background now. So we're going to choose Generative. And why don't we do Flying Over English Town. All right. And we're going to hit generate. And let's see what kind of a background we can create. And notice that that's created a brand new layer, which is nice. All right. So there's one option. There's a second option. And let's look at a third option. The third option is definitely closer to what I'm looking for as far as our Peter Pan look. Now, notice that that is, kind of selected there. So why don't I just Control J, and that's going to copy the layer of our model, and I'm going to drag that above. Now, notice we've got some weird kind of doubling. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to enlarge this. Control T will enable us to do that. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. And I'm just going to hold down the Alt or the Option key, and I'm just going to drag it out. So what we're doing here is we're just dragging out Megan, our model here, to kind of fill out that area a little bit better. Now, what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to hide everything. And we're going to fill up this area now inside the town. So let's just go here. Now, you're asking the question, well, why didn't I just create this layer on its own? Why didn't I just cut it out, generate a background, and drop it on top? Glad you asked. And the reason we're doing it this way is because we can kind of guide it with our model, and this is showing us the angle and the lighting and different things like that. So it's not just going to be random. Now we're going to hit Generative Fill, and we're going to fill in this blank area. And if you look at it, see how the light's coming from the left? You can tell because of the shadows there. This will just fill this in and give us a nice backdrop. Great. And let's get our model again. We're going to turn her on, drag her above. And if you notice now that we've got a match there with the lighting. And also the depth of field is also matching. So this is why we went ahead and did it the way we did. Now there's other things we can do if we want to match the color a little bit more. If we feel like, hey, it needs a little bit more, why don't we select that and we'll use another neural filter. So we're going to go up under the filters, and then we're going to go to the neural filters. One of the filters under here is harmonization. If you see that little cloud, click it to download it. And then what we want to do is we've selected our layer with Megan on it. So that's the layer we're working with. But what we need to do is, actually, let me just cancel that. Make sure we selected layer and not the mask. There we go. Okay, good. We're on that layer. And let's choose filter. And we're going to grab our neural filters. Loads it in. Great. Harmonization. And we're going to turn it on. All right, great. So now what we know we've got Megan selected. So what we want to do is we want to match the color and the tone with the background. It looks pretty close already, but let's just go ahead. And so here's the background that we've created. So now it's going to analyze that, put the color in there. Look at that. And I can adjust the strength if it's a little too strong. Let's bring it down a little bit. And notice now we're starting to match the tones of that image underneath. Great. Click OK. All right, Control D turns off the selection. All right, so now we've got her flying through the air. But one of the things that I want to do is I want to kind of have her hair flowing, kind of blowing backwards. So we're going to grab our lasso tool. And then we're going to grab the top of her hair. And let's go back quite a way because she has very long hair. And I'm even going to go over part of her arm there. And then we're going to go up to that area. Maybe, in fact, I should go in a little bit more. There we go. Select that in there. So this is giving us this room for hair to kind of fly in there. And I can hit the Option key if I just kind of want to shape more what my result is going to be. I can do that. All right, so let's hit Generative Fill. Now, I'm not just going to type in hair, because if I do hair, it could do curly hair, it could do straight hair. Her hair here is definitely wavy. So we're going to choose wavy hair. Now, these are the kind of prompts you want to add. You don't want to say things like add hair or have hair blowing. Hair blowing might work. Sometimes it doesn't. But what you definitely want to do is give it the object, which is hair. and then you describe it with things like maybe wavy or brown. You could give it the color. There's different things like that. All right, so let's just go ahead and we're going to choose generate now. You don't want to say replace something with something else. Those kind of words don't work in this kind of text prompt. All right, so let's see what we get. And we'll get 3 variations. Hopefully one of those is going to be usable. Look at that. That is great. Let's look at the second option. That's really good too. And the third option, somehow I feel like the first option is probably the most realistic. All right, and as you can see there, we're using some of the different tools together to get us the result we're looking for.